Hey everyone, it's Jensen here for some more crazy stuff going on in the world of sports this past little bit. Of course, to start off with, we've got the madness of March going on, conference championship tournaments going on, and different teams are trying to book their way in. Last night there was an exciting last-second three-point shot into overtime. Or in overtime to win it for, I think it was Chattanooga. It's just a great time for basketball, which is a lot more entertaining basketball than what you get in the NBA. Even if the players aren't as skilled or as good, the excitement level is top of the level action. So keep on watching that. I'll touch on, let's dig right into it. Because that is the most exciting thing going on in the world of sports right now is March Madness. So bubble teams here. And I'm going to focus mainly out west because that's what I care about. And most other people don't care about the West, which is why it's such a struggle to get those bubble teams in for the West. But so bubble teams out west. In the Pac-12, we've got Oregon. And so that was they're basically out. They ended not so hot. If they're going to get in, they're going to need to win the Pac-12 tournament. Otherwise, they've got no shot at being a bubble team that gets in. And I will say this, when I'm talking about these teams, I'm talking about, whether, assuming they don't win their conference tournament, we're going to go with that assumption for these bubble teams, because obviously you win, you're in. And anything can happen. And obviously if someone wins that's not expected to win their conference, that eliminates a bubble team. So, crazy things can happen there. Other teams out west, we've got, I think the Mountain West is going to get a good solid 3. And the West Coast Conference, I think they've got a solid 3. I have San Francisco is a maybe. So out west, I think one of the battles on the at-large is going to be a BYU versus Wyoming. And to be fair, at this point, getting on the last 4 in, it's really hard to really say that either of them deserve it over the other. Or against the other bubble teams that are out east or whatnot. But of those two teams, Wyoming has a couple good wins in the Mountain West, whereas I don't think BYU has that on their resume. They don't have the top teams that they beat in conference. I think the West Coast Conference is a better conference than the Mountain West, so you've got to give the credit to BYU on that. And it kills me, all the East Coast bias that they think the West Coast Conference isn't very good. It's a pretty good conference. But Wyoming lost several games down the stretch. I think they lost 4 of their last 7 games. And so I would lean towards BYU, other than the fact that I think BYU needed to win that game in the West Coast Conference tournament, and with losing there and not furthering on to the semifinals there, I just don't think the committee is going to put BYU in. So I think BYU will probably go into the NIT. I have them out. I think Wyoming will probably squeak in because they have the wins against top teams in the Mountain West. That's my battle between those two. I don't think the committee will put both of them in, BYU and Utah. Again, I think they favor East Coast teams, which is natural just because that's what they're watching all the time. It shouldn't happen that way, but that is what happens. It's just like why I'm biased to West Coast teams. That's what I watch and what I care about. So I think there is a great bias with seeding and whatnot, where people just don't give the West Coast credit. And, oftentimes maybe the West Coast doesn't deserve it. But last season, they sure did pretty good. I think Gonzaga is going to get the 1 seed, the overall 1 seed. I like Gonzaga a lot to go pretty far. I the Auburn is good, but I don't have faith in Auburn. It's madness. Who knows what's going to happen? USC was struggling there for a bit. They lost to Arizona and then to UCLA too. So hopefully they can turn things around. No super high seed for them. I think if they win the Pac-12 tournament, the best they can get up to is maybe a 5 seed. Right now, they're probably a 7 seed. Maybe they get pushed down to an 8 seed if they lose their first game in the tournament. But I would say they're comfortably a 7 seed. I don't see them going much higher than that. And then the rest of the Pac-12, Arizona's going to be a 1 seed. UCLA is an overrated 4 seed, and then USC is the 7 seed, and I don't see anyone else getting in the Pac-12. Anyways, that's madness for right now. We'll get the brackets later this week, and then talk about it. Other big news going on. We'll go back into the NFL, back in football. First, we'll go with the Calvin Ridley stuff. So he was caught gambling in last season, betting. He had some 8-team parlay bets for $1,500, and he's suspended at least a year. And it surprises me the amount of people that are talking about, oh, that's so harsh. That's too harsh. I mean, he wasn't betting a lot of money. He wasn't even active during that time. He was on a break, and I'm like, no. If anything, that's too lenient on a minimum of 1 year. I'm all for giving second chances for most people, but when it comes to betting, you cannot have even the smidge of thought that games can be fixed. That's just not good. Yeah, we can't be doing that. And so I applaud the NFL for coming down hard. If you don't make an example of someone doing an obscure, bet here or there, it could spread, because like many people have said, the NFL is, right there with their joint partners with gambling and with all these betting sites. And you're going to be able to gamble in games pretty soon, in the stadiums even. But that doesn't mean that players themselves or coaches or owners, anyone associated with the NFL, better not be doing any of that. And if they do, they should be out probably for life. You can't have any thought that these games can be fixed. It just, the entire sport crumbles when people think that, I mean, you lose what the sport is all about when people aren't trying their best or people are fixing games. Then sports isn't sports. It's not fun. It's not exciting, and you can see cool stuff, but it's like watching a movie instead of true sports. So that's my thoughts on the Calvin Ridley stuff. Anyone caught gambling on their stuff in sports, get them out. I'm sorry. And again, I'm okay, like in a little bit, like at least a year, maybe 2 years, and then maybe let him back in as depending on the situation and circumstances and remorse and that sort of stuff. I am big for second chances and for guys, fixing mistakes. I think there should be room for that, but you better be careful when it comes to gambling and betting on the sport that you're playing in. And if it ever, a second time or an owner or something like this, like there is the possibility that the Miami owner was paying the old coach, whatever his name is, Flores, to lose games. If that turns out to be true, he loses the franchise. He's gone. You can't have that. you can have tanking going on, but you can't be fixing the games. And there is a difference. Anyways, those are those two. The other big news of the day, especially here in the Northwest, is Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to stay with Green Bay, and Russell Wilson is getting traded to the Denver Broncos. So some thoughts on these two trades. I think that the Aaron Rodgers thing, I mean, we don't know the details on it. I think it's a smart move for Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, they were the number one seed this year. I think they were very unlucky not to have beaten the Niners. I think they were overall the better team. You don't normally expect to get your punt blocked and returned for a touchdown. So that's yeah. So I think it's good for the Green Bay Packers. But now on to the Russell Wilson thing. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers will probably decline. He's probably at the end of the contract, unless he's like Tom Brady. It's probably not going to be great, but whatever. With the Russell Wilson thing and the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks did great with it. They get a couple proven starters, which is all you can almost ask for a first round draft pick, because that's about a 50-50 hit or miss. So they get two guys. Then you get 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. Granted, the first one this year will be, I think, the number 9 pick in both the first and second round. It'll probably be a lower pick next year when Denver probably does better. So I think it's very good because the Seahawks weren't going to win anything. Their team isn't ready to win a Super Bowl right now, with or without any quarterback you choose. They're not winning a Super Bowl. They needed more pieces. So I think the Seahawks did great, and Russell Wilson would have left for nothing at the end of next season. So I think they did a great job on that trade. Denver, I think they're overestimating Russell Wilson a little bit. Now, I like Russell Wilson a lot. I think he's a great quarterback. He's one of the better ones, but I don't know if he's going to be able to bring them up over some of the other teams in the AFC. I would still pick Mahomes. I would still pick Josh Allen as better quarterbacks, and I like their teams better too than the Denver Broncos. So I mean, that division is stacked with the Raiders, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos, all with good QBs. I think it's definitely a step up for the Broncos. I think they are definitely improved. I just don't know if they're Super Bowl improved. And if you're getting Russell Wilson, you're going to have to sign him to a long-term contract, and your team is going to steadily decrease in how good they are, because you won't be able to sign as many other players. So in about 2 years, it would not surprise me if the Seahawks are in a better spot than the Broncos. Despite, I definitely believe the Broncos are going to be the better team this next year. As the Seahawks, I think, are going to try and do a quick rebuild. They need to find a quarterback now. I don't think Drew Lock or Geno Smith is the answer, but I think they'll be able to get one. And then then I think they'll be set to make another run like they had when Russell Wilson was on his rookie quarterback deal when they actually won the Super Bowl. So those are my thoughts on all the big stuff going on. Just excited for March Madness. Oh, and I guess we'll get into this next time, but hockey deadline trading is coming up. Anaheim Ducks, they're open for business according to the GM. So look for them to make quite a few changes. Well, that's about everything. So have it so good, and we'll talk.